in the early 1800s, there were up to 15 indigenous breweries, microbreweries, etc., operating within the city, one of which is the building which we're in at the moment. The brewery on this particular site belongs to the Abbott family. That was taken over by Sir John Arnott in 1861. It flourished as a brewery for 30 odd years until the mid-1890s, when it fell into disrepair and was closed down. Around the turn of the century, a young Mr. A.F. Sharman Crawford, having finished his formal education, and as was the custom at the time, was sent on what was called the Grand Tour, which was his finishing education, whereby young gentlemen of financial means, they toured Europe, taking in all the architectural sites, the art, the literature. It was incumbent on young gentlemen to give something back to society. Having completed his grand tour, he acquired this vacant site. He later became involved as vice chairman of the Technical Education Committee, who were at the time actively involved in trying to locate a premises to establish a technical school. And he donated this site as a gesture to that committee.
Well, the opening of the Crawford Municipal Technical Institute took place on the 16th of January 1912, and it was a magnificent public and civic occasion. There were 300 people on the guest list, and they represented all of the great and the good in Cork. The Lord Mayor in state, accompanied by his mace bearers and sword bearers, presided over the event. The highest dignitary in the country, T.W. Russell, the equivalent of the Minister for Education, was the keynote speaker. Enormous tribute was paid to Sharman Crawford for the gift. The Lord Mayor officially opened the building, and to do so he was presented with a gold key by Arthur Hill. On the evening of the opening there was a conversazione. Conversaziones became a hallmark of the way in which the Crawford Technical Institute operated over the next number of years. This was an event in which the general public were invited in to see what was happening and the type of education that was on offer within the Technical Institute. 1,000 people were issued with invitations. They saw all of the work in the different laboratories, and they were also entertained by a magnificent concert by the School of Music Orchestra held here in the examination hall. From the outset, courses were directly related to employment opportunities, and there was a strong element of lifelong learning associated with the courses. They were designed for people who were at work and wanted to improve their positions at work, and that related then to all of the industries that were within the Cork area. The Institute was particularly strong in the areas of mechanical and electrical engineering. It was also strong in areas related to the construction trades, and it had very good courses in chemistry, in botany and gardening. Other courses like tailoring, for instance, we wouldn't have within the system at the moment, but all of these other courses are ones which are the antecedents of present courses that are operating.
The Crawford always had a good reputation for serving industry with its educational needs and training needs. And in the early 60s, this changed slightly in the sense that we developed new concepts in electronics. In the early 60s, there were technician courses for the post office or post and telegraphs in communications, and there were electrical courses for apprentice courses. These are for the ESB, and other apprentice courses for the general body of non-ESB apprentices in the country. And this would have been always the Crawford's raison d'etre, if you like, to serve industry. When we established our electronics technician course in 1969, we decided we would include a new subject called computer engineering, which was new to Ireland in education. when we went to the NCA with this new course, they were in a state of shock, and they said, what is all this specialisation about? We can't have that, and we fought them and wouldn't give in, and we got our validation done. That course in computer engineering was the course that really established Digital Equipment Corporation, called DEC. Now DEC is the forerunner of all the major companies we have in Ireland now, since then. It was the first big one, and most of its managers went off and headed up companies around the country. And DEC itself acknowledged the importance of computer engineering in the Crawford as a critical factor in their establishment. You could say that DEC was the beginning of the Celtic Tiger in Ireland, and one could extend that to saying that Crawford's computer engineering course was the embryo of the Celtic Tiger.
Well, the Diploma in Chemical Technology was started in 1944. Now, the wonder about the DipChem Tech, I think, was that students came from industry, and we helped to train some of their staff at various levels, but equally so, they brought new skills that we had to learn from them. The trouble is, on Sunday nights, I sit down and try and get my notes in order, so I'd step one little step ahead of them on Monday morning. Now, I learned from them, first about prioritising work, deadlines, and high level of technical skill. More than anything, with the DipChem Tech, it became the model for all the regional colleges that were developed in the country at certificate and diploma level. One of the striking things that came to me were the part-time nature of the courses, what has now been called lifelong learning, where people could opt in and out from work into learning and go to various high levels. And we used this model, which was in the Crawford, but we developed it a little further as I went along, so that when we came ultimately to the regional college and now the Institute of Technology, one of the very important components of learning in these institutes was that people could learn part-time, full-time, and nowadays even by various distance education mechanisms. The Crawford meant the world to me. It gave me a wonderful life. It gave a wonderful life to many students because it opened doors to them that were closed beforehand. What it did was it developed Cork as a major industrial centre, and what it did for many families and young people, it gave them a wonderful sense of their own worth.
I first came to the Crawford in January 1977 when the college was still in Emmett Place, and this building in Sharman Crawford Street was being emptied because the tech was moving, obviously. And we were a small art college. At the time, we were only a couple of hundred students, and we thought, sure, they'll never give us the building. It was a really great, inspired decision in 1979 when Paddy Parford, the CEO of the City of Cork BEC, decided that the College of Art could move to Sharman Crawford Street. Although it was always going to be difficult to leave the traditional home of the college in Emmett Place, moving to Sharman Crawford Street was easy because it's a beautiful building. It happened to be the same architect as the architect who did the 1884 extension in Emmett Place, Arthur Hill. So we were moving into a building that we were instantly comfortable with. I think the Crawford College of Art and Design has been enormously successful in producing great artists, people like Alice Marr and Michael Quain. We had Martin Healy and Linda Quinlan. We had Joy Gerard and George Bolger, Billy Foley, Claire Kernine, Mary Foley. Well, there are artists who stand out because of their achievements as artists, and there are artists who stand out because of their achievements in developing the community of art in Cork. People like Eilish Nifuelan and Deirdre Nolan, who helped establish the Backwater Studios. People like Brian Kennedy, who helped establish the Cork Printmakers Workshop. Maud Cotter, Vivian Roach, people who helped establish the National Sculpture Factory. These were major developments in Cork that helped make Cork the artistic centre that it is today. I think the great tradition of the Crawford College of Art and Design is that it gives a good education, and it's also training artists. And I think that's what we want to continue, to make sure that we continue to provide Irish culture with the next generation and the next generation and the next generation.